Well, good afternoon. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on Monday, the 4th of September. Still the Labour Day long weekend, and of course it's supposed to celebrate Labour. And of course I've been celebrating Labour by labouring on my hugelkulture raised beds. So anyways, I'm going to take the camera off the stand and we're going to take a little look around, and we'll see how we're coming along. So here's my little back garden workshop there to cut all my pieces of wood. I'm using hemlock, I think I've mentioned before, and the hemlock I'm hoping is going to be a lot more sturdy and resistant to the spruce. Okay, so this is the first bed made. Here are the supports for the arches on this side. And I've planted a cover crop of mustard, hot mustard in there, Kodiak hot mustard, and that is to clean up any fungus in the soil. Okay, so now you can see how I've lined the inside of one of the sides. I sort of pre-built it so that I can just set it down in place and join it to the two ends. Now of course this is not a precise science, as you can see. It was a little difficult getting around that corner, but anyway, basically the idea is that because this is a material that it will have some wicking ability, and that it will keep the moisture, the moisture in the soil from sitting directly against the wood, and hopefully slow down the rotting process. So here is one end. This is the remnants of the hugelkulture, the burying of wood underneath, and you can see how it's rotted away quite nicely, and it's soaked up all the moisture. And again, this is what the mustard looks like when it's full grown and coming into flower. And you watch that will go crazy with pollinators too when that comes in. And so here is the middle board. So it's ready to be joined up on both sides. Now this had to be a lot more sturdy than it was, and it's been a bit of a chore, but I'm glad that I'm doing this because you know, this is going to be a greenhouse, and I want it to be sturdy, and I want it to last a good long time. So anyway, it really is starting to take shape, and my next little move will be to actually join those three sides together, cut my next three boards, line them, and then we will have another box built. Okay, so just as a bit of an aside here, what we are looking at is Japanese knotweed, and I have got it trained with the lawnmower that it doesn't really escape this little patch here, and it makes a nice little barrier with next door, gives them a bit of privacy because they have a deck there and a barbecue. And I just keep this side trimmed back. But if you have any thoughts of planting Japanese knotweed, beware. It has to be in a situation like this where you can control it with a driveway or a lawnmower, because this stuff is so incredibly invasive. Once you get it, you can't get rid of it. But when it comes into flower, let's see if I can close in a little bit there for the zoom. The activity by the wasps, bumblebees, hornets, flies, ants, and you don't see them very often, but I do have a family of praying mantis in this bush. I don't know how they manage to overwinter, but they do. And I'm sure these flowers make sure that there is a good feed for them. And I'm kind of wondering, you know, I really have seen an increase in, oh, there I see, I don't know if you can see that, there is one honeybee there, but like I say, these are mostly wasps and hornets. And I'm kind of wondering, you know, if, because there's been a problem with the honeybees, that they were a lot more competitive than we thought they might have been, and now all of these kind of pollinators have come forward. Look, there's even a fly in there getting some pollen, and of course there are a lot of parasitic wasps that get in here for the pollen. Parasitic wasps are very good for your garden. They lay their eggs inside of other grubs, and when as that larvae hatches out, it will kill the grub. So very good for your garden. Anyway, whilst we're here, why don't we just take a little walk around the garden, because we're getting into the fall garden now. And you can see the onions are just starting to fall over. So next little run of sunny weather, I think I'm going to pull these and let them dry out completely, and that'll be ready for storage for winter. The potatoes are starting to die back. Great crop of potatoes, look at that. Pigweed. Yes, you can see the potatoes are starting to die off. It's just that time of year, so we'll be harvesting potatoes in another, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks. When these are all died down and dried up, that's when you start digging for your spuds. Peas are all down and cleaned up. Still eating lots of kale. Yum, 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 yum. And yet more kale. And carrots. I will be picking carrots in the not too distant future. So I was looking at this sunflower the other day, and I just can't believe the size of the head on that thing. It is just massive. These sunflowers I planted from seed that I got saved last year, and this seems to have, it's a variety that has one great big head, and then it sends up all of these multiple heads, and look, it's so heavy the stem can't support it. I may have to tie that to the trellis there. But these are great for your pollinators, and they are great for the birds in the fall. I can't keep up with these tomatoes. They are coming on so quickly now. I basically had about this much, although I guess I picked about half of them, and they've come back with more tomatoes, and they're still flowering, they're still fruiting. Look, there's still little ones up at the top there growing. And but they were just about this many, but they were all green lumps, and they would not ripen. And then all of a sudden we got that burst of heat, and by golly, now they're all coming on strong. And like I said, I can barely keep up with them. Lots of lettuce. Beets are looking really good. I've been pulling those out, thinning them out, pulling the biggest ones out. I love beets. Okay, so I planted this end of the bed in cilantro, and I think that I will have enough time to grow cilantro up to just sort of the pre-seed stage. And I did this end as well, cleaned out the lemon balm, which was just getting into everything, and I cleaned out all of my dillweed, and the seeds are just drying out. You can see the basil is flowering and seeding. So yeah, I had a good tidy up of the herb garden, and it's actually looking quite good. I'm quite pleased with again, the pollinators just love the flowers on this pineapple mint. Sage, that's the 4th year with that bush, and you know, I got those from Loblaws 3 years ago, 3 little packages. Put them in and they're still going strong. Looks like we're going to get a thunder shower. There sure were a lot of people heading home when I was coming back from a friend's at lunchtime today. So as you can see, I've been trimming down the raspberries. They were just going a little too crazy in here. Clean all that up later. But yeah, they needed to be just given a little haircut. But looks like I'm going to get a full crop of raspberries. I'm glad that I have an everbearing in here. Look at that. Well, I don't think I'm going to get any eggplant off my eggplant. It's flowered. It doesn't seem to... oh look, there's a... it's too late for that. I think it needs more full sun. But we've got lots of cucumbers going on here. Yeah, some small ones in there. But same with the zucchini. I think the zucchini needs a little bit more sunlight than it's been getting. Don't quite know what I'm going to put in that bed. I may just put daylilies. They seem to survive the best anywhere. And I'll just maybe abandon that bed as a kind of a food growing. And of course the peppers are coming on strong. I just picked a whole bunch, took them down to my friends for lunch. So that's it, that's your fall garden. And I will keep you updated as to the hugelkulture project and the greenhouse, because once this is done I'll be getting my PVC piping to make the hoops, and that is when I'm going to pick up this story again. So in the meantime, you have a great week. This is Hound Dog Steve signing off. Talk to you later.